presidentes del Centro para la Libertad de Prensa, el doctor José Jaime Rivera, presidente de la Universidad del Sagrado Corazón, y Luis Alberto Ferrer Rangel, director de Nuevo Día. Les doy la bienvenida a este recinto de leyes de la Universidad Interamericana de Puerto Rico, que con tanta generosidad todos los años nos auspicia la actividad del Día Mundial de la Libertad de Prensa. En esta noche tenemos una visita muy especial, el doctor Zhengrong Hu, decano de la Facultad Graduada de Comunicaciones de la Universidad de China, que va a estar con nosotros hablándonos sobre la transición en los medios de comunicación en China. Primeramente, voy a dejar con ustedes al decano de la Facultad de Derecho, licenciado Luis Mariano Negrón Portillas, para un breve saludo.
Muy buenas noches tengan todas y todos. Quiero darles la más cordial bienvenida a esta comunidad universitaria. Un saludo muy especial al distinguido invitado, el doctor Hu, que nos acompaña en esta noche. A nombre de nuestra Facultad de Derecho, extiendo una calurosa felicitación al Centro para la Libertad de Prensa, todos los periodistas y personas que se dedican a tan noble actividad en estos días en que se conmemora la ocasión en que como pueblo reconocemos el extraordinario trabajo de vital importancia para la sociedad que llevan a cabo estos compañeros. Para la Facultad de Derecho de la Universidad Interamericana es un privilegio tenerles aquí y ser sede una vez más de tan importante actividad. Nos complace mucho ser sede nuevamente y, como siempre he manifestado en saludos como este que he brindado a la audiencia en ocasiones anteriores, para esta facultad es un verdadero placer, un privilegio cooperar con esta actividad, y siempre las puertas de nuestra Facultad de Derecho de la Universidad Interamericana estarán abiertas para el Centro de Libertad de Prensa, de manera que les comunico a todos y a todas aquí presentes que esta es su casa. Nos complace mucho tenerles aquí y esperamos verles en futuras ocasiones. Muy buenas noches.
El licenciado Manuel Fernos, presidente de la Universidad Interamericana, se encuentra fuera de Puerto Rico. Por esa razón no está entre nosotros esta noche, y como siempre suele estar. En su lugar va a dirigirnos un breve saludo el licenciado Agustín Echeverría, que es presidente interino de la universidad.
Muy buenas noches, amigas y amigos todos. Primeramente, permítanme excusar a nuestro presidente, licenciado Manuel Fernos, quien se encuentra fuera de Puerto Rico en gestiones oficiales, asistiendo a una reunión de la Red Latinoamericana de Universidades Privadas. Para la Universidad Interamericana de Puerto Rico es un honor contar con la presencia del doctor Zhengrong Hu, uno de los estudiosos más destacados de los medios de comunicación de la República Popular China. Consideramos muy significativo que celebremos el Día Mundial de la Libertad de Prensa con esta actividad que nos permitirá conocer mejor el estado y el desarrollo de las políticas y prácticas relacionadas con las libertades de palabra y prensa en el gigante asiático de China. También tendremos oportunidad de reconocer la redimensión y transición de la libertad de prensa ocasionada por la irrupción de las tecnologías de la información y la comunicación. Desde luego que la comprensión del mundo actual no es cabal si no se incluye incluye el análisis del fenómeno chino. Aprovecho esta oportunidad también para agradecer al Dr. Hu la interesante conferencia que ofreció a nuestros estudiantes del programa de comunicaciones del recinto de Bayamón. Por otra parte, deseo expresar nuestro renovado apoyo al Centro para la Libertad de Prensa en Puerto Rico. Las sociedades democráticas deben no solo proteger, sino ampliar la investigación y su consiguiente divulgación de los temas relativos al derecho fundamental a una prensa libre. Pueden contar, pues, con nuestra universidad para coauspiciar eventos que, como este, redundan en beneficio de las comunidades académicas, los futuros periodistas y los profesionales de los medios de comunicación de Puerto Rico. Estoy seguro que disfrutaremos esta noche de una conferencia singular e interesante. Muchas gracias.
Por segundo año consecutivo, el centro auspicia un certamen de composición entre todos los estudiantes de escuelas públicas y privadas de Puerto Rico. Este año recibimos bastantes composiciones de escuelas públicas y privadas. El jurado, compuesto por Yari Rivas, que es editora del Nuevo Día, y Alma Sánchez, que enseña periodismo y redacción en Sagrado Corazón, eligió una jovencita de Jayuya que se encuentra aquí esta noche, de nombre Kasia Martínez Suchet. Estudia el 10º grado de la Escuela Josefina León Sagas en Jayuya. Ella se encuentra aquí con sus orgullosos padres, sus tías, su hermanito. Y yo quisiera que los copresidentes subieran conmigo, viniera la joven Keisha para hacerle entrega de un certificado que se ganó y posteriormente se le hará entrega de los $300. Así que doña Keisha, presente, con un aplauso bien fuerte, una joven brillante. El tema de la composición es desafíos actuales a la libertad de prensa en el mundo. Y entonces Keisha realmente hizo el mejor trabajo de todos los estudiantes que participaron. Así que nos sentimos sumamente orgullosos. Les quiero decir que Keisha quiere ser abogada, así que está en un buen lugar. Nuestras felicitaciones a Keisha, son orgullosos padres y familia allá en Jayuya. Le agradecemos mucho la comparecencia esta noche. Y ahora vamos a hacer la presentación de nuestro distinguido invitado y le he pedido a la doctora Irina Estrada, que es decana asociada de estudios graduados de la Universidad del Sagrado Corazón, que venga y nos diga, nos hable un poquito sobre quién es Zhengrong Hu.
Buenas noches a todas y a todos. Tengo el gusto de presentarles esta noche al doctor Zhengrong Hu. El doctor Hu es uno de los más destacados estudiosos de los medios de comunicación en la República Popular de China. Es profesor de comunicación y director de la Escuela Graduada de Comunicación de la Universidad de China y director del Centro Nacional para Estudios en Radio y Televisión. Sus áreas de investigación incluyen política de medios y transición institucional, estrategias para desarrollo de medios, gerencia de medios y economía política de medios. Posee un doctorado de la Universidad de China y su bachillerato y maestría del Instituto de Radiodifusión y Teledifusión de Beijing. Ha presidido y ha culminado proyectos de investigación en China para la Fundación Nacional de Ciencias Sociales, la Comisión Nacional de Reforma y Desarrollo, el Ministerio de Educación, la Administración Estatal de Radio, Cine y Televisión y el Gobierno Municipal de Beijing. Es autor de numerosos artículos que han aparecido en las principales publicaciones académicas en China y de influyentes libros, entre estos Media Reality and Beyond en el 2004 y Media Management Renovation en el 2000. En En el año 2005 se desempeñó como investigador invitado del Centro Shorenstein de Prensa, Política y Política Pública de la Escuela Kennedy de Gobierno en la Universidad de Harvard y desde enero pasado funge como profesor visitante en la Universidad de Westminster en Londres. En esta noche, el Dr. Hu nos hablará sobre la transición en los medios de comunicación en China desde la perspectiva de políticas de medio y cambios institucionales, puntos críticos para poder comprender el escenario actual de los medios chinos. Dr. Hu, estamos todos muy deseosos de escuchar sus palabras sobre este tema de tanto interés.
Al escenario a compartir con nosotros sus conocimientos. El doctor Hu tiene un traductor, ¿verdad?, para que todo lo que se diga en español, las preguntas que van a escribir en unas tarjetitas y que luego yo voy a leer, el traductor le va a decir en inglés. Y antes de que suba el doctor, les quiero decir si alguna de las chicas presentes perdió un arete, está al frente. Y yo, como he perdido arete, sé lo que es eso. Así que la tengo en la mesa de frente, leyendo las orejitas, a ver a quién le falta un arete de plata y está en la mesa. Les quiero decir que el doctor Hu en su visita a Puerto Rico ya ha probado todas las delicias de nuestra comida. Hoy comió tostones, ayer comió mofongo. Y lo hemos llevado como en este gourmet puertorriqueño de arroz, habichuela y cuánta cosa, y está encantado. Probó la guayaba hoy, que nunca la había visto en su vida, y creo que ha sido una experiencia, ¿verdad?, muy simpática para él. Así que los dejo con...
Good evening, everybody, and thank you very much for coming to my presentation. And actually, I'm very honored and I'm very excited to be here to share what I have studied about Chinese media. And so here, I really want to greatly thank the Center for Freedom of Press in Puerto Rico, and I really want to thank the presidents of both university and my new friend, the editor of the newspaper. I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce that. Nuevas. I'm so sorry, I cannot speak Spanish, so next time I can speak. Okay, so that is my thanks from my heart, actually. And so this evening, I really want to talk about the Chinese media because China is becoming more and more hot topic, and also Chinese media are becoming also a kind of hot topic because when people talking about China, especially Chinese media, so the human rights, freedom of press, and any other topics would be very, very popular, would be very, very central to this kind of talks. So I really want to talk about this and to share my own opinions with all of you. And so my topic will be getting to the 4 parts. And the first topic is about China. China has, what's real China is, actually, the question is like this. And because I believe that many people are very, very interested in China. But when talking about China, it's very easy to get very heavy stereotypes like, okay, you are communism China, okay, you are so ugly, you are kind of evil, because human rights situation over there is so bad, and you can see a lot of conflicts so ugly, and you even eat the mouth. Oh, it's horrible. But some people like to talk like this. Okay, China has developed very, very quickly in the last 3 decades. And so they will say, okay, China will become the superpower in next year. But I should say both arguments are completely wrong or completely biased. So I really want to give you relatively whole image or relatively real image about the China. What the China is or what the real China is. So that is the first question. And the second point I want to talk about is the Chinese media ownership and structure. Because it's, in many occasions, actually, it's very, very difficult for people out of China to understand what kind of ownership, what kind of structure is in media in China. And because some people would like to simplify Chinese media like since all media in China are owned by the government, so you don't have any freedom of speech at all. So every day, all media contents is full of political propagandas. But actually, no, we are also people, you know. We are not the evil, you know. So that is the second point. The third point is the changes in Chinese media. That is the main point, which I will talk about. The last one, I really want to discuss some problems which are still existing over there in Chinese media transition. So that is the 4 points I really want to talk about. And the first, let me go through these topics. The first is what the real China is, or China has one face, or just a single face, or 2 faces, or China is full of complexity, or diversity. So probably it's really hard question for us to give very simple answer. So I really want to share something like this. First of all, let's see the map of the whole China, because China is so diverse. China is so big and huge, especially in terms of the population. So far, it's the largest population country, And in China, we have 1.3 billion people, and west part and east part it contrasts hugely. We got a big gap between not only in terms of population, in terms of the culture, in terms of the economic development, and also in terms of the way of life and value system. We also got a lot of diversity over there. For example, like to the northwest part of China, all of them, or majority of them, is Muslim. It's Muslim. But in the central part, of course, in the east part, we call that the majority people in China, we call that Han nationality. So it's quite different in China. It's very hard for you to simplify, okay, China is that, or okay, China is this. So that is the China. But when we talk about the China, actually, I really want to tell you the reality, especially the current reality. The current reality is, talking about China, people really like to use Shanghai and Beijing as a symbol of China. But actually, it's just a small piece of China. If you talk about Shanghai like this is Shanghai. And actually, this picture is a little bit old. Actually, this year is, in the past 2 years, it's got a lot more modern buildings than this. And you can see it's Shanghai. It's completely very modern, especially from the surface. It's completely very modern, very trendy city. It's true, actually it's true. That is Shanghai's night. So beautiful, so nice. A lot of bars, very dynamic. Yeah. And very westernized, very lazy life, easy life over there. That is city, that is urban life. That is Shanghai. That is Shanghai at night, in the evening. So it's very, very beautiful, very nice city. And this one is also a big city in China. It's Beijing. It's Beijing Central Business District. So you can find a lot of high buildings, very modern, a lot of traffic. Today it's not much traffic, but actually every day is traffic jam. I don't know how can they make a picture like this. So this is also the other city called Guangzhou. Some of you probably heard of that. It's not far away from Hong Kong. And Guangzhou, you can see the Guangzhou's night is so beautiful over there. It's much beautiful than Beijing because Beijing is a northern city. It's very cold, very dry, so no nightlife at all. But in Guangzhou, you can find a lot of nightlives and people eating out and very, relaxing life over there. But they are only the cities. They are only the one part or one face or one side of China. If you see this picture, you will be shocked. That is also China. That's today. It's not before, not 2 years ago, 20 years ago, 100 years ago. It's now in China. We still have a lot of mobile workers like this, coal miner. They are coal miner. They work very hard. They got very, very low income, and their living situation, life standard, it's horribly poor, And so that is also China. That's true. And the other side, so we can see this one. That is very image. And next, let's go to this part. And if we analyze the rural, sorry, I typed wrong. Rural or urban per capita GDP growth, you can find it's becoming more and more hugely gapped, right? So in 1985, this kind of gap is quite small. But 20 years later, you can find that this gap is so huge, such a huge gap in terms of GDP per capita, in rural areas, in urban areas. And if we talk about China, so many people would like to talk, okay, Chinese people are becoming more and more wealthy. You can buy everything just like Japanese 20 years ago. Yes, that's true. Many Chinese people can buy anything they like. And you can find that this is this year's exhibition in China. We call that they organized it, the first Beijing luxurious goods exhibition. And it's a kind of forum. They call that 2006 Wealth and Harmonious Society Forum. It's very weird to combine this thing, where wealth and harmonious society. People really like luxurious goods over there. For example, like this one, Chanel, like Bentley, like Ferrari, is that right? Ferrari? I don't know how to pronounce that. It's quite easy to find all of those luxury goods in China. But if we see this situation, what do you think about China? It's true, it's also today. And children, and especially, of course, their parents, are not able to afford their education. So it's true, completely true. They live in this situation. They eat this food. They don't have money to be educated, right? So it's also China. So at this moment, it completely depends which side or which face you really like to choose, right? If you see China from this perspective, of course, China is so evil, completely evil. You can see this society is like this. After so many years development, it's still there like this. But if you see China from this perspective, China is threat, definitely threat. It's superpower. You can buy everything. You can build nuclear bombs and bombing everywhere. It's oversimplified, right? It's completely oversimplified. It's kind of dilemma. So you can see this. If we compare the eastern part of China to central and western part of China, you can find the GDP gap is also very, very big. Three different colors. The pink color means the east part, and the red color means the central part, and the west is the green. So you can see that 10 years ago, this kind of contracts is not that huge, was not that huge. But after 10 years, it's becoming more and more huge. So it's China, actually. It's really China. If we say China, if we compare China from this perspective, tradition, old, or communism, if we put them together, we can find China is still like this. China is still communism. Probably all of you know this guy, Deng Xiaoping. Deng Xiaoping opened the door to the outside world, Chinese door to the outside world. So this Deng Xiaoping was pictured in 1979. This year is open door policy year in China. So after this year, China opened the door to the outside world. So that's why Time magazine really liked Deng Xiaoping to be the cover boy, like this. So China is still communism. China has a lot of old and traditional side. But if you want to compare with modern new capitalism, that's true. Last year, Time also issued the other copy. Like this, of course, that is Asian version, not Asian issue, not the European and North American one. Last year in October, they published this issue, special issue talking about Asia's heroes. This young girl actually is a China new pop idol, something like American Idol. It's a new pop idol. This girl is very independent. It's very aggressive. It's very individualism oriented. And it's very, very unisex. Unisex. She doesn't like people call her as a girl. She really wants to be just a person. So, of course, we have a lot of gossip like this girl could be a lesbian or so on. And so, yeah, you can see this kind of topic is also over there in China. So it's also modern, new, trendy, fancy, and even very capitalism. So if we compare China like this from different perspectives, if we look at China from different perspectives, what China is actually. So I would like to use the same Time cover story like this. Also, last year they published one issue like this. They call that they have a very special cover story called China's New Revolution. And you can see this picture is very, very interesting. And actually, this picture tells a lot of stories. Actually, you can see the image, this icon, this man, is very traditional communism icon because he is a Mao Zedong. He's Mao Zedong. But if you see his suit, Chinese suit, you can see a lot of different icons on it, logo on it. What is that? Louis Vuitton. It's capitalism, right? It's consumerism, capitalism, Westernism, modernism, luxury goods, right? It's a kind of true. China right now is a kind of hybrid, of kind of combination, something like this. Politically speaking, we are still communism. But economically speaking or socially speaking, open, diversified, capitalism, and any kind of ism, any kind of ism could be, right? Or what kind of ism? We don't know, right? So it's very interesting to see China at this moment. Of course, after 20 years, after 30 years, I believe it's not that interesting. It would not that be interesting because right now it's very conflictory, it's very contradictory, and in China we also say something like this. Right now is very critical occasion for China because if you can pass or get across this kind of bottleneck, because we are facing this kind of bottleneck. If you can get across this bottleneck, of course you can develop quite well in maybe next 5, 3, and even longer, 3 decades and maybe even longer. But if you cannot get across these kind of difficulties and bottleneck, that would be a kind of disaster, So that is China. So really, I really want to share my opinion like this. Please don't simplify China. Please don't simplify China. China is a society like every kind of society in the world. So don't simplify that. It's all okay, whether either it's a communism country, so it's evil, or it's an economic superpower, so could be a friend. So it's quite a dichotomy way of thinking, or it's oversimplified way of thinking to look at